Well, hi, this is Pete, and this morning I'm with Matt from a company called Custard. Isn't that just a brilliant name? And Matt's a search engine optimization expert, and I know that because the reason that Matt and I hooked up is because I had a call from one of his colleagues at Custard and said, "Oi, you've got some content on your blog which is linking to an article which we wrote on behalf of one of our clients, which is on their blog. Would you mind awfully giving them a link from your blog to their blog?" And of course I was delighted to do that, and I thought this is quite good, because clearly what they're doing is working, because their client is getting exposure, because obviously our S.E.O guys have found it and linked to them. So I thought, right, let's make contact and let's see if we can get Matt on the line and see if we'd be prepared to share a few tips about S.E.O for people that are not expert in this area. So with that, Matt, a very warm welcome. Hi, how are you doing?
Thank you very much, Pete. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks for spending some time with us this morning. I know people will be very interested in what you're going to say. So before we jump into too much detail, just give me a little bit of background on Custard and then explain what S.E.O is and, importantly, why people need it, because we mustn't assume that everybody knows about S.E.O and why it's important for their business. So just give us a brief introduction if you could.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've been with Custard since 2011, before which time I worked for a travel company, an accommodation directory, and worked on their in-house team, and jumped into the agency side of things, obviously a few years ago now. We basically help businesses improve their online performance through SEO and pay-per-click. Pay-per-click being the paid advertising side of online marketing, and SEO being the more organic, the non-paid side of things. So if you look at a Google page, you'll see at the top 2 or 3 ads, and then below it you'll see the organic listings, and that's where our clients basically ask us to get them as high as possible in those listings.
Wow, sounds like it's quite an art and a real skill that you have there. Can you just explain why that's important to a business to be well ranked within Google?
It's important in terms of visibility. Obviously, if people are searching for keywords related to their service and their product, the higher they're ranking Google in theory, the more traffic they can expect through organic search. There's a little bit more to it than that, but in a nutshell, that's the idea.
Right, okay. We like nutshells. We like to try and keep it simple and snappy. So I'm sitting here. I've got a new website. It's brilliant. Well, everybody thinks their website's brilliant. So how do I get it in Google? What do I do? Ring them up and say, "Oi, can you stick us up in Google?" Or how does it work?
Well, there's a lot that goes into it, but to keep it again in a nutshell and keep it as basic as I can, we concentrate on 2 sides. We concentrate on the site itself, and that's where SEO comes from. It literally stands for search engine optimization. So optimizing a website to get it as search engine friendly as we possibly can. That being the content, the technical side of the website, making sure that Google can read the content properly, and then there's the off-site work that we do as well, which centers around links. Google's ranking algorithm is based around links from other websites to your site, and on a very basic level, again, every time somebody links to your website, Google takes that as a recommendation and as another reason to rank your website above your competitors' websites. What complicates matters is that obviously when people got hold of that information, that's when you start to get spam. So that's why you see links in things like blog comments, spam comments in forums, things like that. And there's a lot of different ways that Google will look for people who are doing link spam.
Which is a bad thing, isn't it? You shouldn't be spamming anything.
Exactly. This is why I mention it, because it's very easy to get on the wrong side of Google by doing very sort of spammy and manipulative link practices, and basically building links that shouldn't be there in the first place. The most how can I put it? The safest way and the most ethical way to do it is to create content that people want to link to. So links that are editorially given based on something that you've done or a service that you've provided, they're good links. The links that you put there yourself, they're generally the bad links.
Okay, so there's been a lot of changes, I know, in the last 10 years or more in Google, but I think we're back to basics, aren't we, really, is write really good content that provides great value to the visitors and let Google get on with it. Is that a fair summary?
Well, Google have been saying the same thing for the last sort of 10, 15 years. They do make slight changes to the guidelines based on, the practices that people are putting in place. We've recently seen Google come out and say that guest blogging as a source of links may no longer be safe. But in the main, Google has said that putting good content on your website is the best way, is the most important thing to do and the best way to achieve search engine rankings, because that kind of content, people link to.
Okay, so make it really good content. Okay, well, what we're going to do now, if you're okay with this, Matt, is I'm going to just talk about a couple of things which I know confuses people, and then I'm going to ask you for, let's just say, 3 simple things that people can do themselves to help improve their chances on Google. But the first thing is, I know there's a lot of stuff in the press and online about animals to do with Google. We've heard of penguins and pandas, and I think there are other ones as well. Can you just explain what all that stuff is about and whether people should worry about Google's announcements in this space?
Basically, if you haven't been doing anything spammy or manipulative, then no, you don't need to worry. The updates that are given nicknames like Penguin Update, Panda Update, they are basically tweaks to the algorithm that are aimed at eliminating link spam from Google's index.
Okay.
The Panda algorithm update targeted sites with content that was not adding value for users. It was called thin content. And basically, because Google have come out with this message of put good content on your website, you'll get rankings, you'll get traffic, people just started putting content on their website that was not adding value to users, but was just there for the sake of adding content. And Google doesn't want to have that kind of content in its index, because Google wants to make sure that it provides users with a good user experience, so that they'll keep coming back, keep using the search engine, and they'll keep putting money through Google through those pay-per-click ads. Now, by eliminating the spam pages and the low-quality pages from the index, that's what Google was aiming to do, keep a high quality in those results.
So these are the pages that you've... Just to give an example, these would be the pages that are just stuffed with keywords, just talking about nonsense, effectively, that doesn't make sense to the human to a human reader and doesn't add value. Is that the sort of thing that you mean? The ones that you get really
That's
annoyed
exactly
at
right.
when they come up?
Yeah, I mean, you're probably coming across them less and less as Google's algorithm takes hold. But we've all seen web pages that you just think, why is this? Why am I seeing this? Why am I reading it? It's like you say, it's gibberish. It makes no sense to me. It's just stuff with keywords. And anything that's unnatural like that, Google's getting much better at spotting. As Google have 1,000 PhDs working for them, so gradually they're going to get it right. Conversely, the Penguin update was a little bit different. That was aimed at link spam rather than on-site spam. Things like that we've talked about, like the manipulative link practices, the forum linking, there was article submissions, mass directory submissions. They stopped working and could actually get your site penalised. So people's sites were disappearing from the index, and they were essentially being punished for what they've been doing before.
You can't really argue with Google, can you? Because they get their own way eventually.
They do eventually, yeah. And the problem was that a lot of agencies had been hearing this rhetoric from Google for years, but they hadn't quite got there yet in terms of being able to punish it. And then the Penguin algorithm came along, and all of a sudden people were in uproar, when actually, if they just followed Google's guidelines in the first place, they wouldn't have got in trouble.
You see, this is it when you try and pull tricks. It works for a while, and then you get smacked, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people made a good living off it. The businesses that were getting rankings on the back of these techniques, for a while, a lot of money was made through it. So you can't really blame you can't really blame SEOs, to be honest, for continuing with those practices. But the problem was that, those businesses had relied on that income. And a lot of people really struggled after it, because as soon as traffic from search engines is taken away, if that's all you're relying on, you're in trouble as a business. So we often advise clients now to diversify where they get the traffic from. So not just from search engines, not just even from pay-per-click through search engines, but through social media, through PR and other offline marketing, to make sure that they're getting direct traffic to the site. Even some of the guest blogging that we've been doing, we always look for sites that provide traffic through click-through to get referral traffic to the sites, so that if tomorrow Google does decide to turn off your traffic from search engines, maybe you'll lose 30% of your traffic instead of 100%, which is obviously a lot easier to recover from.
Yeah, one in business is a dangerous number. You should never have a single point of failure or all your eggs in one basket, I think is another way to put it, isn't it, really?
Yeah, exactly. And especially if you don't control that basket, Google essentially owns your business if it's providing all the traffic that you rely on for your revenue.
Not good. Okay, so now we know what penguins are and pandas are, and we know what we shouldn't do. Can you perhaps share, let's say, 3 things that people who are just getting their website live or want to promote a website that's already there should be doing to it themselves? I mean, of course, they can always come to you if they want expert help, but some stuff that people can do themselves.
Yeah, so I mean, we've already talked about putting content on the website that is going to be helpful to users. And one of the ways that people can do that is by listening to the conversations that they have with the customers and the questions that are being asked by the customers, and think about how they can solve problems in terms of the advice that they can offer, where their expertise is. And put that on the website. So your FAQs pages are a good example of this, but they're often not done that well. We see FAQs that have that are exactly what they say. They are the frequently asked questions, and that's an opportunity to put some content on the website that users will really engage with, because those are questions that people are asking on a daily basis, and people have started going to Google more and more for these answers. If you can provide a really good resource for the questions that people are asking, so for example, not just putting one line on an FAQs page, but linking off to another page that's got a really in-depth answer. So it might be, what's the best way to varnish the fence in my front garden? Rather than a one-line answer, if you've got a page of content that talks about the best time of year to do it, the best products that you can use, everything that person might want to know, then you're going to get traffic from that, because that's the kind of good content that Google's looking for.
And it makes sense, really, doesn't it? Because you're right, people go to the website or go to Google looking for information, and if you give Google what it wants, then you're both on the same side, aren't you? You're not trying to trick Google. You're helping Google give its users good quality content, and therefore it's going to love you, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, people do this in different ways. Often, it depends on budget a lot of the time, but people will use straight text, so it might be a how-to guide or, just a text article. People use video, a lot of image-based stuff. Google rewards kind of images and video because it's rich media, it's what users like. They even do things like infographics if you want to get into the more sort of complex side of web content. And how well each one works won't depend on the format of the content. It'll depend on the information that you're relaying. So if that content kind of lends itself to video content, then do a video, but don't do a video just for the sake of doing a video. Yeah,
just make it relevant. Okay, so great. Frequently asked questions, love it. Tip number 2. What else can people do?
So one thing that we're really pushing with all our clients at the moment is blogging. We have done for a long time. And I think every commercial site should also have a blog, because it's easy to set up a website for your business and just push your products and push your services. That's not really what Google's looking for. Ideally, it wants you to sell in its ad space. What it wants is websites that provide good information. Google's mission statement is to organize the world's information. So if you're putting information on your website, constantly updating that website with the latest information, so again, it goes back to doing how-to guides, industry commentary, things like that. We have a list of questions that we ask clients and potential clients that range from having any concerns about scams or unethical practices within their industry, right up to kind of predictions for the near or long-term future, best practice. We spoke to somebody recently, they're a web design agency, and we said, on your blog, instead of just going, this is what we've done recently, talk about HTML5 websites, talk about, trends regarding scrolling on websites, anything that shows your expertise, put it on the blog.
And post how many times a week or a month?
Well, it kind of comes down to, how much you've got to say and how much capacity you have to do blogging. But what you can do, as long as you've got content going onto that blog, someone like me can then take that content and promote it socially. So we can go to things like Google Plus communities, and we can say, hey, look what these guys have written, or LinkedIn groups that are regularly discussing this content and these kind of ideas. And obviously then you're going to get more traffic through to your site, and with the idea being that that traffic then converts into sales, inquiries, revenue.
Wow. Okay, so we've got frequently asked questions and we've got our blog, and I guess people can socialise some of that themselves, but you'd be happy to help, I guess, if people want to engage you professionally to do that. But it's all about content, isn't it? Both of those are content strategies, effectively. Yeah,
they are. And I guess if you push me for a third tip, link building is still a relevant and legitimate practice. It's not link building itself. It's some of the techniques that people use within link building. So there's a lot of different ways that somebody without my help can go and get links for their website. So anybody that you work with, suppliers or customers who have nice things to say about your website, ask them to link on their website. A lot of people have stockist pages, for example. So we work with a furniture clients who stock various different brands, and on the websites of those brands there are stockist pages. So we've approached them and said, okay, so you've got Sleep Masters, you've got a couple of other competitors. Can you add our link in there as well? And that's a legitimate link because it's editorially given, if you like. The relationship already exists. It's just legitimising that relationship within a relevant piece of content.
So if you do a good job for sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. So if you do a good job for somebody, a customer, and they ring you up and say how happy they are, I guess you could just say, well, would you mind just linking to our site, please? I mean, that's legitimate, is it, Matt? That's not a naughty link in Google's eyes.
I guess Google's argument would be that that person's not put it there through their own choice. You've asked for it, but there comes a time when you have to think, well, Google's not going to know that, obviously, as long as it doesn't look like you paid for the link. I mean, that's something that Google really frown upon, and they talk about that in the webmaster guidelines. Paid links should obviously not be something that you're looking to do, because it's generally just spam. They're looking for links that have been earned, if you like. But as far as I'm concerned, by providing a good service, you have earned links from people like your customers.
What about things like press releases with links to your website in online announcements of stuff that's going on in the company, that sort of thing? Is that considered to be bad links, or is that legitimate too, even though you may have paid for the press release to go out?
Yeah, well, Google treat that in quite a special sort of way. There are press release websites such as PR Web, PR Newswire, and if you put a press release out with a link to your website, links from the press release site itself won't count, and they won't help your SEO, and Google have confirmed that. What does help is if the content's good enough. So again, it comes back to the quality of your content. People will republish that content, and the links when republished online will count, because somebody's actually decided that your content is worthy of republishing. So we recently did this for a client in the financial services industry, and their press release went out on one of the popular press release services. The link within the release didn't count for anything, but when it was republished on the Wall Street Journal, obviously that was then a little bit more legitimate, because somebody at the Wall Street Journal has decided, okay, this is worth republishing in our publication, and of course, if there's a link within it, why would that not count? That's it's a great link.
Yeah, from the Wall Street Journal, you're not kidding. Well, Matt, this is brilliant. We've I normally say we'll limit things to 10 minutes, but we must have been doing 15 minutes at least, and we could carry on for another hour. But we better not, because it's a promise that we make to the people that are listening that we don't go on forever. But I can't let you go, Matt. Well, you see, all of this stuff can get a bit geeky, but it does make a huge difference to your business, doesn't it? And at the end of the day, people are in business to make money. Okay, so I'm sure people will have taken away a lot of useful information, but it's like everything else. If you're busy or this is not your bag and you want to hire an expert, how can they contact you? What's the best way to get in touch, Matt? Okay, well, our website is custard.co.uk, and if anybody does want help or just some advice, they can contact me on matt@custard.co.uk. And that's M-A-T-T, isn't it? Matt at
That's right.
Okay. Brilliant. Matt, that's been wonderful. Thanks very much for sharing those tips. And I've learned something. I've been very impressed, and I'd encourage people who need some help to contact you right away. Thanks for your help.
No problem at all.